our daughters with us, which was a super sweet, extra special blessing. As moms of many, our hubbies graciously took one for the team and stayed home, even though it could have been a romantic getaway for us couples, but we each took our daughters and we had so much fun. And I don't know, you guys have heard me talk about Brittany. You've listened to a lot of her trainings. Some of you may not know who she is. So she is going to share a little bit about her story, and just give us some inspiration. But I do want to say she is a 5-star diamond. She is amazing. And she has been in Plexus, I believe, longer than me. So you have a lot of experience to share with us. All right. Welcome, friend.
Oh, thanks. Well, thank you for having me. Have I been in Plexus longer than you? What year did you join?
2015.
Okay. Then yeah, I have been in a little longer. Okay. Well, thanks for that sweet introduction. And yes, Portugal was super fun. Love seeing your daughter eat octopus. That was very interesting for me and Grace, and expanded our horizons. I will say that. So that was definitely a fun trip, very memorable, and my daughter loved it too. And it just made me even more grateful for the blessing that is Plexus. So I will just share my story with you guys, and hopefully can share some value that will kick your new year off. So I'm a 5-star diamond, like Megan said. And also I was looking at my notes earlier and realized that I wrote down that I have 5 kids, but I actually have 6 kids. So anybody can be a diamond, even if you cannot remember how many kids you have. And so whenever I started this, I was homeschooling all of my kids, and we lived way out in the middle of nowhere. And we were a 1-income family. I knew nothing about network marketing or sales, for that matter, or business. But my husband, he works very hard to provide for my family, and he was in construction. And like I said, we had 1 income, and all of our needs were met, but we just had to say no to a lot of things that we would like to do, or things that we wanted, sometimes things that we needed. I remember every single time he would get a raise, it would feel like we couldn't notice, because we didn't notice that he got a raise, because it didn't feel like our lifestyle would change. It just would feel like we could finally say yes to something we had been saying no to for a very long time that could have been a need. One time our septic system went out, and it was $5,000. We had to replace the whole thing. It couldn't even be repaired. We had to replace the whole thing, and we did not have that in savings. So we had to take out a personal loan and then pay monthly payments on a septic system. And that was not fun. So there just came a point where I was looking for something to do that would add to our bottom line and bless our family financially, but I was unwilling to give up what was the most important to me, and that was being with my kids, homeschooling my kids. And so this was in 2013. So 9 years ago. And I had been studying the Proverbs 31 woman, and she was industrious. She actually had several businesses, and she was very profitable. And there was just a lot that I admired about her. And I was just thinking, I aspire to be her. I want to be just like her. I want to be the Proverbs 31 woman. And I felt like a lot of areas I was doing well. But in the area of being industrious and profitable, I just realized I had a desire to do that. But I wasn't really sure what I could do. I did have a degree in business, a 2-year degree. But I wasn't I'd never really had a job or a career. I had always been a stay-at-home mom. So I didn't really have much experience. I didn't really have any skills starting out. I definitely did not have a network. We lived in the country, and my dad was a pastor of a small country church in the middle of nowhere. I'm telling you, one red light town. And I didn't know that many people, because I just always been a stay-at-home mom. So, and I'm an introvert. That's another reason why I just didn't know that many people. Probably because I didn't want to know that many people. But I had a great inner circle, but I just was not well networked. I wasn't like an influencer. I would say the people that I did know probably respected me, but I just didn't know that many people. And so anyways, I remember starting to learn, like, be very interested in what it would take to build wealth. There's a verse in Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And that verse really just struck a chord with me. And I just thought, I have no clue how to do that. Like, at this point, we are making ends meet, but leaving an inheritance, I don't foresee how we could do that. Like, we don't have much left to, like, save up. I didn't even know where to start with investing. Like, I literally felt like I just didn't know much at all. So I just started seeking out knowledge. The first time I did this, I was at the library with my kids, but trying to find some resources for homeschooling. And I picked up a book called The Millionaire Mind. And that book just blew me away. It changed my thinking about money and just the way people handle it. And it was surprising to me to learn about just the average millionaire. And so that was intriguing. And then I picked up Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he talked about, well, that one also changed my thinking, but he talked about the difference between the traditional route of, graduate college, get a career, have a salary, or trade your hours for dollars, pay off your student loan debt, and spend your working career basically trading your hours for dollars, versus financial freedom, which would come through the route of being a business owner. Had no idea where to start with being a business owner, but I definitely was not interested in trading my hours for dollars. I knew that felt like bondage to me, to be honest, because I'm just like, well, that's not scalable. That's not highly profitable. That sounds like if I want to make more money, then I'm just gonna have to put more hours in. And I have a lot of kids and not a lot of hours. And so I wanted to find something that was going to be highly profitable, scalable, and also learnable, because, like I said, I didn't know much when I started. And then I picked up Robert Kiyosaki's book, The Cash Flow Quadrant. And that book, he specified even further, there's a difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. And self-employed people, they're basically like, they're employees, because if you don't work, you don't get paid. The only difference is you are your own boss, but you still have to trade your hours for dollars. A business owner actually owns the system, which means once the systems are built, the income can still come in without the business owner having his hands in all the pots. And so, like, that, which means, we can go to Portugal for a week, or we can go to Hawaii for another week, and our paycheck doesn't change, right? So that is what network marketing is. Network marketers, once you build out systems and you build your business, you build a team, and your systems can run with or without you, the income is residual, and there's never any cap on it. So as I studied this business model, which, by the way, Robert Kiyosaki did recommend network marketing, he actually wrote a whole book about it. It's called Business of the 21st Century. But as I studied that, I'm just like, well, this definitely seems like the best route to go. And so I actually was already taking these products as I was learning about just how to build wealth and what do wealthy people do? Like, what do they know that I didn't know? And just kind of on this quest to figure out this whole personal finance thing and leaving an inheritance to my children and being profitable and industrious like the Proverbs 31 woman. So then my sponsor, Fallon Reeve now, she shared with me the opportunity, and she was convinced she was going to be a diamond, and convinced that I could be one too. And honestly, I thought she was crazy at first, because I just thought, I appreciate her audacity and big dreams. However, I'm pretty sure the people at the top of those things are probably just like special people. And I didn't really know like what made them special. I just felt like I wasn't one of those. So anyways, I did eventually learn that network marketing is simply a set of skills, and anybody can learn that and get good at it. And so I decided that I was going to do that. I decided I was going to learn the skills and I was willing to get out of my comfort zone, and I was willing to push through fear of what people would think of me. My dad was a pastor, and doubt, just a lot of self-doubt, because I definitely didn't see myself as someone who would be able to create the success that I have. At this point, I'm earning the same amount of money that a brain surgeon earns. And I didn't have to go to school for 10 years and get into massive amounts of student loan debt in order to create that income. And I didn't even have to, I had to learn some things, and the more, like, I was learning as I was earning, and the more I learned, the more I would earn. And so I never had to go into debt or anything in order to turn a profit on this. And, in the beginning, when you are building this, it can often feel like you're putting in a lot more work than you're getting paid for. But if you keep going, what happens eventually is that you start feeling like you're getting paid a lot more money than you're working for. And so that is exactly what I have found to be true. And I find that to be true as I talk to other diamonds. Not that we don't work hard, because we do work hard, but it just seems like when we look at our paycheck, it's like, I don't know if I work that hard. So sometimes it does feel like it's too good to be true, but it's not, because the paycheck keeps coming in. And so I've been in this for 9 years, and it's kind of like raising kids. Like, I know when I was raising my kids, well, I'm still raising kids, but my oldest one is 20 and married at this point. He's almost 21. Which, side note, I just realized the other day that I've been raising kids for 21 years and I still have 17 more to go. But anyway, I digress. So my oldest is 21. He's about to turn 21. And I oftentimes, as I have been raising kids, I have wondered, am I doing this right? Like, I think I'm doing what the Lord would have me to do. I think I'm doing it right, but I feel like I'm failing. I'm like, I would worry so much that I'm like messing up my kids. Totally, on some days would go to bed crying, just thinking, I don't know if I'm doing this right. And now I just kept going, though. Like, I kept going, and I just every day would put one foot in front of the other, just diligent with parenting. And now I can see the fruit of that, now that my children are growing up. And I can see the fruit of the labor. And that is definitely very sweet fruit. And I would say it's the same with this business. And so when I started this, I was not a strong starter. I never hit fast start anything. I'm as a matter of fact, when I started this, I worked really hard for 7 months and was doing events and all kind of things. And all I got was halfway to gold. And then I felt like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I lost belief that I would be able to be successful at it, because I literally had no clue what I was doing. And back then, we didn't have the luxury of all the training that is available to us now. And so it really was just like, you could purchase some Sarah Robbins training. There was like 2 Sonia Dudley videos that we watched over and over and over, but that we just didn't have. The company was relatively new. It's just we didn't have the tools and training. I literally had no clue what I was doing. And I often did think, if somebody could just tell me what to do, I'd be willing to do it. Even if it's scary, I'd be willing to do it, because I saw the vision. I saw what this could be, and I wanted financial freedom. But I honestly didn't know what to do. So after 7 months of dreaming big and working, I decided I didn't think I could do it. And so I stopped sharing for like a solid year. I stopped sharing, even though I still took my products every day. I was still getting a residual paycheck every month from work that I had already done. Eventually, I did decide that I was going to jump back in. And during that year, I did a lot of thinking, a lot of reflecting, and also I did some personal development. I eventually picked up a book called Switch on Your Brain. You guys have probably heard of it, Dr. Caroline Leaf. And that book, along with a couple of team calls that I had tuned into as my wheels were turning, and like I could see things happening, like people who joined the same time as me, I was seeing them rank up, and that was kind of inspiring. So of course I was wondering if it was a possibility. So I was kind of tuning in, but I definitely had not made a decision to jump in. But I listened to a couple of team calls that inspired me, and then I read that book, Switch on Your Brain, and that helped me realize that really the only thing keeping me from being as successful as I wanted to be was what was between my ears. It was my thoughts. It was what I was believing. It was what I was telling myself, especially in regards to myself, because there's three things that you have to have rock solid belief in. If you're going to grow through the ranks in this business, you have to have rock solid belief in our products. Like, you really, truly need to believe that our products are changing people's lives. They're transformative. You need to believe in our opportunity. Like, you need to believe that network marketing, it is a viable opportunity that allows ordinary people like me to achieve extraordinary things, and be bold and be willing to tell people about that, and be willing to face rejection over that, even because some people won't catch the vision, but the ones who do, their life is going to be completely changed. I'm one of them. And I'm so eternally grateful that my sponsor cared more about sharing this opportunity with me and what it can mean for me than she did about what I was going to think of her, even though I did at first think she was crazy. And then you also have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that if other people are being successful at this, they're no different than you. They're not smarter than you. They're not more beautiful than you or more intelligent than you. And that if other people are finding success with this, they've simply learned the skills and they put the work in. And so that is what that book helped me to realize, is that I was holding myself back with my thoughts. So for a year, I sat there and didn't say anything about Plexus, really, unless it just came up organically from somebody asking me about it who knew that I was on the products or that I used to sell it. I did jump back in. And at that point, I went from silver to emerald, earning a solid 6 figures in 12 months. Whereas before, I went from silver I was silver, but for 7 months, all I got was halfway to gold, which now is called senior silver, for 7 months of work, versus when I jumped back in, going from silver to earning 6 figures in 12 months. And the only thing that changed was my mind. Like, my upline did not change. The products did not change. The comp plan did not change. Nothing changed except for what I was thinking and believing. So I did go emerald in a year. And then I was emerald for 2 years and did a lot of personal growth during that time too, because what I really wanted more than anything was to develop leaders and earn financial freedom. And I didn't want to just be in Hawaii. I wanted to have my team in Hawaii with me. And for 3 years, I went to Hawaii alone, not alone with my husband, but I didn't have anybody from my team earning it with me. And so I just wondered, like, what am I doing wrong? I was earning 6 figures. I did have a level of success, but I desperately wanted to help other people find the success that I had. And so I did a lot of learning and leadership development. And then I hit Sapphire eventually and was Sapphire for 2 years. And then I went Diamond. And then the next month after I hit Diamond reentry. And by the end of that year, I was essentially almost triple Diamond points. And that was just because of a compound effect. So all those years where I was feeling like, what am I doing wrong? What am I missing here? Why isn't this working? Even though I'm looking back now, I'm seeing, like, in retrospect, like, it was working. I was earning 6 figures, but comparison, that really, it's so easy to look to the left or to the right and think that somebody is so much further along than we are, or that they're doing it right and we're not, because we feel like we're not as successful as somebody, especially if they joined the same time as we did. So, but I was diligent. And so I did put the work in. I was consistent, and eventually that consistency compounded. And so it wasn't that all those years that I was doing anything wrong. I definitely had things to learn and areas that I needed to grow in, but I was also being diligent, and that a compound effect does take place. And so I just want to encourage you this year for 2023, you need to just be diligent. If you just focus on diligence and consistency, eventually a compound effect does happen. And so consider yourself, like if you were, let's just say you were a farmer, how hard would you have to work if you had to grow your own food to whatever working was necessary? Like you would make whatever sacrifice you had to make in order to survive. You would work as hard as you had to work, and maybe even say no to things that you wouldn't like to say no to in order to go and work your fields, right? Bring in the harvest. But you would be diligent, you'd be consistent, you wouldn't be lazy, you definitely would not be making excuses if your survival depended on it, right? So you would find a way. The will would be there. You would find a way to get the work done, right? But at the end of the day, there would be no doubt in your mind where the rain comes from, right? So we can put the work in, but we have to trust God for the increase. But I just want to say I've learned through parenting and through growing this business for a number of years now that if you are diligent and consistent and diligent, I love that word diligence. I feel like diligence is a good old biblical word because it just simply means repeated effort, day in and day out, repeated effort. It doesn't mean you have to kill yourself, but it does mean you're not going to make excuses, that you're going to put the work in regardless of how you feel about it. It is a level of discipline, but it's diligence. It's repeated effort day in and day out. That does provide a compound effect. And also, I just fully believe that the Lord blesses that. So I just want to encourage you this year to focus on diligence. I will say consistency beats intensity any day of the week. Now, if you want speed, then you can combine consistency with intensity for a time period. But just know that intensity is not a pace that you'll be able to keep up forever, but it can create some speed. If you want speed and you have goals, then sometimes there are going to be seasons where you have to work harder. It's just like the farmer analogy. If your survival depended on it, or if your goal depended on it, then you may make extra sacrifices in order to put the work in so that you could get the end result that you're after, right? And so if you have a big goal, let's just say you're trying to earn Mexico, you have 7 solid months that you can be diligent and consistent. You can show up, work your business, and you can put short bursts of intensity in there. But I mean, you can do anything for 7 months. There were seasons of my business where I was working probably full-time hours or more. But like I said, and I didn't do that all the time, but now I'm earning what a brain surgeon makes, and I'm doing it in part-time hours. And so business owners, they work a little differently than employees do, because employees, they're trading hours for dollars. As business owners, it's a little different. We're not trading hours for dollars. You're actually building something, and the payoff is huge, and the payoff is worth it. And if I look back, I mean, I can't even count on both of my hands how many times I would go to my sponsor, Fallon, and say, is this going to be worth it? Because sometimes I felt like, am I sacrificing too much? Am I working too hard? Or is this even going to work? Like, what if I'm wasting my time? What if it's not going to pay off? What if I'm hoping all this and dreaming all this and doing all this work and it's not even going to pan out? What if it doesn't work? And so I would always ask her, is this really going to be worth it? And she would say, yes, it's going to be worth it. And she would really encourage me. And so I would keep going. And now that I am a diamond and see the blessings that this opportunity and my hard work and diligence has brought to my family, I can, with a resounding yes, say 100% it's worth it. And the only way it's not going to work is if you don't work. So set your sights on whatever, just pay attention to whatever that dream is that God has placed in your heart. A lot of times we don't want to dream big because we fear disappointment or we fear failing. If we don't make it, then we're going to feel disappointed if we decided that's what we wanted, right? So dream really big and pay attention to the dreams God has placed in your heart, and then just be diligent and learn the skills and put the work in and just go after it, because consistency is going to bring a compound effect. Okay. I think that's all I had, Megan.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing. Justin had to go rescue our kids because they're stranded.
Oh no.
I know, and they have a whole group of kids. They had volleyball and basketball practice, and then I have a screaming toddler who my boys are, I don't know what's going on out there. So here's to doing it imperfectly, right?
Yes.
But anyways, I so appreciate everything you shared. I was taking notes, and I appreciate your scripture that you shared, your biblical word that you gave us. I think if you don't have a word for the year, you guys, there it is, the biblical word, diligence. And then just the fact that it's worth it, but it's like the investment now, which will end up contributing and creating what we want in the future. So thank you so much. I just appreciate you so much, and like the things that you've imparted to us tonight. I'm excited to see where everyone takes the words that you gave us and uses that to influence their mindset. And I've been telling them, put yourself in a position to be encouraged, guys, because so much of this business is mindset. Like you said, it's crazy.
Yes. And I would say it's 80% mindset. It's only 20% skill set. The skill set is actually very simple. It's not always easy, but it's very simple, and it's 80% mindset. The success that you're going to earn will come 80% from your mindset. Totally agree.
Mm-hmm. Which is why it's so important to keep showing up to the calls.
Yes.
It's kind of been my theme that I was thinking about. Like, we have got to be showing up to the calls, because that's what helps. And I've seen that over the past almost 8 years that I've been in Plexus, is just like putting myself in a position to be encouraged. Like, I pop an earbud in when I'm doing like housework or any mundane task, because it keeps my brain space in the growth mode instead of, and if I don't, I just kind of tend to fade and not stay on my A game.
Mm-hmm. Relatable. I totally agree. I'm the same way.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for hopping on. We'll let you get to the rest of your evening. She was actually ultra prepared, you guys, because I forgot to tell her that I'm not Central Time. So she was ready an hour before our call.
All right. Well, thank you, Megan. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure. And I hope you guys have a happy new year. Can't wait to see what you guys create this year.
Awesome. Thank